This is the last chapter in Volume 2, which means we are about two-thirds of the way through the book. There's something kind of interesting to notice between Mr. Weston and Mrs. Elton. Mrs. Elton is all about the conversation being about her. Um, and Mr. Weston is all about the conversation being about his son. And there's been many times where you see Mr. Wesley, he's like, "Oh, my son Frank Churchill, blah 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 blah." And Mrs. Elton, as I said, is always bragging and showing off about what she has. And I've talked before about new money, old money. And it's kind of weird that she has this very new money way of showing off her money. And you kind of get a hint where she talks about Maple Grove and how her father got it, or her father got it just before his death, and the brother ended up taking it over. So it's like, okay, maybe this money isn't as old as it seems, or as old as she leads on. Um, and it's always the one-upmanship. That's something that you kind of have to learn to do in conversation. And there are people who just want to talk about themselves or talk about whatever, and you just kind of suck it up and be quiet. And I'm not good at this, but I know that I'm not good at this, and I try to keep reminding myself it's like, okay, Mark, be quiet, don't talk, let them go. Maybe ask a question now. Nod. Yes, you want to talk? No, don't say it. Nod. That's very interesting. Anyway, so this is practices of good conversation, which don't come naturally to me. I'm not good at reading signals. Fortunately, most of them here are written out, so it's like, oh yes, so she does an affected laughter, which means she doesn't actually believe it. It's like ha 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 ha. It's like the scare quotes. Um, so I tried to express that in how I read it. And so let's see, Birmingham. So the new family came into the area, and she's like, "Oh yes, new money. Mm, they aren't the proper kind of people." Now they came from Birmingham, and Birmingham nowadays is known as an industrial center of England, um, because that's one of the places where the Industrial Revolution took off. And this is right around the time that the Industrial Revolution is actually kicking off. They don't have much they're beginning to get the steam engines, but a lot of it is water wheels. And Birmingham was blessed with being a place to do water wheels, and they had source of wool, and so they had all of these fabric mills that started up, and so Birmingham was one of the starting industrial centers. So that is cool. So that's probably where the money came from. And that also, because this is the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, a lot of people didn't realize that you can get all sorts of money by mass producing stuff. Because, once you start making it cheaper than everyone else, you can make a lot of it. And you need smaller margins. So if I can make, let's say I can make this shirt for $10, but the person who doesn't have the machinery, it takes $100 worth of labor to make the shirt. But I have the sunk cost of the machinery. And so, I have to spend $1,000 up front. But once I spend that $1,000, I can make the t-shirts for $10 a piece. While the other person has to spend them for has to spend $100 each, because they have all of these people running the looms, spinning the yarn, knitting, running the looms, uh, putting this shirt together. While I just have the automated spinning wheel, and it goes, And, you just feed in this big bale of wool and out shoots miles of yarn with no real effort. Or, I take the thread and I load it into the jacquard loom, and all of a sudden, boom, straight fabric comes out, and then it's just cut it up, put it together. And so if I can make it for $10 and someone else can make it for 100, I can sell it for 50. Use that $40 to pay off my $1,000 of machine, and I'm just rolling in the money. And then I can even cut the price down further. If I'm making the shirt for 10 and selling it for 20, that's just like huge profit. And the person who was making it for 100 was probably selling it for 2. And so I make only $10 on each shirt and they make $100 on theirs. But because I can make 1,000 of them, 10,000 of them, all of a sudden that little $10 adds up really fast. And so that's what industrialization did. And that turns a whole bunch of these things upside down, where all of a sudden you have these people who didn't have money before, all of a sudden having the money and being able to move in. Once again, this is one of those things that hangs up in The Great Gatsby. And once again, that's juggling on my list of books to do next. Probably not, though. But yeah, this is one of those themes that just kind of recurs.